Coming up on today's show, we're going to break down some of the top Jaylen Brown trade destinations. The Celtics All-Star guard has been in some trade rumors. Could the Warriors be a potential landing spot? It's going to be a crazy offseason, so be sure you're subscribed to the channel. On today's show, we're talking about the top 10 Jaylen Brown trade destinations. There's expected to be some trade rumors involving the All-Star from the Celtics. Who could maybe pick up the phone and call Brad Stevens in Boston about Jaylen Brown? We'll tell you the top 10 destinations on today's show. Will Jaylen Brown be traded? Y for yes, N for no, down in the comments section. I'm going to say no, but I think it's possible, very possible, that Jaylen Brown does not sign an extension. They will make some calls to see which teams are interested. I think that the Celtics have to make a call one way or another, either extend him or trade him. And maybe the Lakers would be interested if Jaylen Brown were to be on the trade block. Look, I think the Lakers, when you look at this roster, have to get younger. I've been saying that for over a year. They need a young star. They have to start thinking about life after LeBron James. You can't get to LeBron James deciding to move on and not really have a plan. Jaylen Brown's a good plan for him to be the new king in LA. And I think that when you look at some other guys in the roster, Anthony Davis, he's aging a little bit. You got to get younger. The Lakers could use a young star. But the reason they're not higher up on this list, I don't know if they could realistically put together the package that the Celtics would be looking for. The Warriors might be able to put together slightly a better package because they got Jordan Poole, they got Jonathan Kuminga, some other guys that they could trade. And I think the Warriors, their championship window might be closing a little bit. Trading for a guy like Jaylen Brown could extend the dynasty in Golden State. Taking a look at this trade idea, the Warriors would receive Jaylen Brown. The Celtics would get Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, both of those guys expected to be shopped this summer, and then 2 first-round picks, one of those first-round picks this year. So hypothetically, this trade would have to be done before next week's draft, but an interesting trade idea here nonetheless. That would send Jaylen Brown to play with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Coming at number 8 is the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, they've been linked to Bradley Beal. I think it's very possible they could get involved with Bradley Beal, but I think a duo of Jaylen Brown and Joel Embiid would be awesome. I think it'd be immediately one of the best duos in the league, and kind of like what I said with the Warriors, it would extend that championship window. However, in order to get Jaylen Brown, Philadelphia would absolutely have to give up Tyrese Maxey, which I don't know they're going to be willing to do. We've already heard they're not going to do that for Bradley Beal. Would they do that for Jaylen Brown? Not sure. Coming at number 7, it is the New York Knicks. And as we go down the list, it's going to become more and more likely destinations. I don't know if the Knicks are super likely, but I think they're more likely than the Lakers, the Warriors, and the Sixers because I think they can put together an okay package here. Taking a look at this trade idea, the Knicks would get Jaylen Brown and Danilo Gallinari. I think the Knicks could use a stretch 4. The Celtics would get R.J. Barrett, who just signed an extension last offseason. He's owed a decent amount of money, so I don't know if the Celtics would take that on. Quentin Grimes and 2 first-round picks. I think the Celtics are going to want good young players and first-round picks. Grimes is a good young player. R.J. Barrett still got a decently high ceiling. So I don't know if that'd be enough to get it done, but it's possible that the Knicks could put together a decent package. We know New York's going to make a splash. What's going to be that splash? We'll have to wait and see. Could be Jaylen Brown. Coming in at number 6, the Charlotte Hornets. And the reason that they're on my list here is because they can offer maybe the number 2 pick, which I don't think they'll trade, or maybe LaMelo Ball. Here's a trade idea from FanSided. Celtics receive LaMelo Ball, Nick Richards. Richards could be their backup center. A first-round pick in 2025, a second-round pick in 2026. The Hornets would get Jaylen Brown. Now, who says no to this deal? Would it be Boston or would it be Charlotte? Interesting trade idea here. Type BOS for the C's or CHA for the Hornets down in the comments section. I think this is a really good deal for Boston. I know most Celtics fans don't want to part with Jaylen Brown, but the value here is very, very good. And let's say Jaylen Brown does not sign an extension. I think that it's possible they'll look to move him. They'll want to get the best possible package. This is a good one. It is the Pens comment on today's video. So when that break comes, go down, chime in. Who says no to this trade? As we get into our top 5, the Toronto Raptors coming in at number 5 because they could maybe offer OG Anunoby. They could maybe offer Pascal Siakam. They have some good young players. Scotty Barnes, I don't think they trade him, but we'll see that they could offer here for Jaylen Brown. It's going to be interesting to see what the Raptors do this offseason. Do they blow it up, or do they try to become a contender again? They won the title not too long ago. They might try to trade for a player like Brown, get back into contention in the Eastern Conference. Coming in at number 4 is the Brooklyn Nets. And the Nets are in an interesting situation here because when they traded Kevin Durant and Kyrie, I think a lot of people were expecting them to blow it up. But the Nets, they have a decent roster. They could maybe look to improve it a little bit, try to become a contender again, like they were a couple years ago with Harden, Kyrie, and Durant. Taking a look at this trade idea that I put together, the Nets received Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart. I don't think it's super likely that Smart and Brogdon are both back in Boston. I think one of those guys could get moved. Celtics received Mikal Bridges, who's a stud, Dorian Finney-Smith, and the 21st overall pick. I think the Celtics win this deal, quite frankly, because I'm not sure that the Nets would give up Mikal Bridges, because once the Nets made that trade for Mikal Bridges and Kevin Durant, they were offered a lot at the deadline for Bridges. They said no to 3 first-round picks, and that was a wise decision because look at what Bridges did in Brooklyn in 27 games. 26 points per game, 4.5 assists per game, 2.7 rebounds per game, shot over 47% from the floor. He proved in Brooklyn that he can be a number 1 and be a good number 1 at that. As we get into our top 3, at number 3, H-Town, the Houston Rockets could get involved here for Jaylen Brown. There's a lot of links when you're talking about Brown and Houston, starting with Ime Udoka, his former head coach in Boston, the new head coach in Houston. So I absolutely believe the Rockets could make a serious run here at Jaylen Brown. Not to mention the Rockets have a lot of cap space. They would not be afraid to give Jaylen Brown a max extension. This is another interesting trade idea here. Would send Jaylen Brown to Houston for Jabari Smith Jr., the number 3 overall pick last year, Kenyon Martin, the number 4 overall pick, and a first-round pick in 2025. The Rockets received Jaylen Brown and Peyton Pritchard. Pritchard has requested a trade out of Boston. Who's the best fit for Jaylen Brown? Is it the Rockets? Is it, you can say Celtics. I mean, who's the best fit for Jaylen Brown? Where should Jaylen Brown play next season and for years to come? Number 2 is the Portland Trail Blazers. I think that if they want to get back into contention, give Dame Lillard a shot to win a ring, that maybe trading for Jaylen Brown makes some sense. However, I think that a Dame for Brown swap could actually make sense. For Portland here, let's say they want to take Scoot Henderson in the draft at number 3, which I think they want to do. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to keep Dame. You could have Jaylen Brown and Scoot Henderson as your top 2, and then Dame Lillard goes to Boston, plays with Jason Tatum. That could be a win-win deal for both sides. But coming in at number 1 is the Atlanta Hawks, Jaylen Brown's hometown team. He's been linked to Atlanta for the past year. I think Atlanta would be very interested in bringing Jaylen Brown home. But what would a package look like? Could look like this. Celtics received DeJounte Murray and John Collins. Both those guys could be starters, obviously. And the 15th overall pick, basically a lottery pick, one pick outside the lottery. Hawks receive Jaylen Brown and Danilo Gallinari. So Gallo goes back to Atlanta in this trade idea. I don't know if the Celtics would take this. It might not be enough. But I think Brown would love to be back in Atlanta. Not that he doesn't like being in Boston, but you've seen Jaylen Brown wearing Atlanta Braves caps and press conferences and whatnot. It's clear how much the city of Atlanta means to him, and I think that if he were to become available in a trade, that Jaylen Brown would have a lot of interest in going back home. We're going to continue to have you covered on all trade rumors this offseason, so be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, it'll be live for the draft next Thursday.